Welcome back, and shedding the light on the problem of the illegal migration to Europe through Africa. We are joined in a studio by Mr. Ahmad Ezz Al-Arab, and he's the former chairman of the WEFD party. Hello, sir, and welcome to our show.
Thank you for asking me. It's a pleasure for me to come.
Thank you, sir. Sir, EU's top court on Tuesday has denied visa entries for the asylum seeker, and maybe it is the first official document to be signed against the migrants who flows to Europe in order to seek a better life. So how do you see such a decision by a top EU court?
I see it a big mess created by Europeans, or European colonialism in particular, helped by Qatar and Turkey and all the powers that are having direct interest in spoiling the Middle East. It's clear. They throw people into desperation and then play the angel who are saving them from bad fate. I mean, these people have been settled in their countries without any problem. All of a sudden, their countries are a battleground. They are escaping, their countries are destroyed, their lives are messed up. And then you say there is a problem. Yes, who created it? Those who are behind all what is happening in the Middle East.
Sir, why they are in the beginning, they were welcoming refugees such as a country like Germany stood by the rights of the refugees to leave their countries and go to Germany and other countries to seek a new and a better life. And now Germany is suffering from the flow of refugees.
I see it as an election slogan by Mrs. Merkel. When she's nearing election, she's playing the humanitarian. Once it's too much, then she starts to say, enough is enough. But a certain amount to give her a slogan is welcome. But now they see that it's becoming a real problem. And terrorism that they created is returning back to them. And they don't know what to do.
Sir, what makes the migrants in the very beginning to take a risky life? They are going to die, of course, in their countries if they stayed, but they are also going to die through this journey in the sea in order to reach Europe. What?
Why do they do this?
Why do they do it? Why they take the risk? And why they chose Europe to go to? It's a very long distance.
Yes, that's clear. Why? Because their countries are destroyed. Back to Black Africa cannot help them because there is no place for them in Black Africa. So they escape to the nearest spot that they think it will be a salvation. And they find that it's not a salvation. They have no choice. They are pushed to this. You either die in the sea or you die in your country, which is a battleground. So poor victims, I mean, I feel really, really sad for them.
And now we are finding that the European community is asking for setting camps in North Africa for the migrants, and they said they're even going to finance or give aid to the countries who are going to host these migrants. And like what happened when Angela Merkel came here to Egypt with an offer for with an aid in return to receive migrants, and also the deal that was signed in Tunisia with Qa'id al-Sibsi about the same issue, aid for migrants. So how do you see that?
They are trying to escape their responsibility. They are the ones who created it. And they don't want them in their countries now because they will create a problem in their country. So they give money. Where? In Libya, where they are still waging a terrorist battle against Haftar and against the west of Libya. They're creating the mess and not knowing how to handle it in the end.
Sir, they don't know how to handle it, or this was planned?
Of course, planned. I mean, the whole mess was planned, but sometimes it goes out of hand. You can start a war, but you don't know how to stop it.
And was the migration to Europe also was planned, or it happened?
No, it happened because they left no choice to the people who are running to the sea as an escape door from the hell they are in. The countries, but you see the pictures from north of Syria and Iraq and these places, and Libya, the oil part of Libya. It's a destruction, a complete destruction. So what do? How can they live? They have no way to get supplies, to just basic supplies to live. So they escape to the sea. The others are creating the problem and unable to cope with it.
Sir, Egypt has rejected a suggestion to make a camps for refugee on its soil.
Of course not.
How do you explain that?
I see this as an Egyptian duty not to do it. The terror they created in Sinai, which is still being fought by us, and the eternal plan to take Sinai or part of it to be the solution of the Palestinian problem. They are by any chance trying to drag Egypt to give part of its land by force or by humanitarian motives. But Sisi is very, very aware of what's being planned. And he will never fall in the trap. And of course the destruction, the Egyptian Third Army, the men of the Egyptian Third Army did to the Jabal al-Halal. They are desperate how to save the situation. Jabal al-Halal have been being built as a terrorist land by Morsi and before, and now when it's falling and there is no way to save it, they are desperate. They don't know how to stop it.
Okay, sir, now there is a big mess in the Middle East.
Yes.
Migrants everywhere. Countries are falling as if they were pieces, not a whole country. How do you see the future of the Middle East and, of course, the future of the refugees and illegal migration to Europe?
There will be a lot of suffering, a lot of blood.
War.
A lot of war. But in the end, I am quite confident that Egypt, which crushed the worst part of the plot, will continue, and all the people of the Middle East are now awake to see the future being planned to them. And they are taking the line of Egypt. And when the Europeans are now trying to playing friend with Egypt, it's because they are unable to execute their vicious plan. Egypt stood to it, and now they can do nothing about it except to make all these suggestions, Egypt make camps and all. The whole idea is to grab part of Sinai to solve the Palestinian problem, and this will not happen. We are very, very aware of this.
And sir, how can Egypt now has its own problems, and of course neighboring countries
created by them?
Okay, of course we have terrorism in Sinai, and we have on our borders a failing country. I cannot say it's a failing country, but Libya is in a near chaos. So how Egypt could cope with all this situation, terrorism on our soil and terrorism on the borders? How could we deal with such a situation?
We are dealing with it, with sacrifices. And the problem with us Egyptians is that we have short, how shall I say, we are not used to suffering in this way. But when we look at a country like Italy and a country like Germany, which are more stable than Egypt and haven't been subject to it took Italy 15 years to cope with the Red Brigade, and it took Germany 17 years to cope with Bader Meinhof. We have impatience is our problem. We have to realize that it's a long war, but the victory is sure in the end. What's happening in Sinai shows that Egyptians are prevailing. And all, I don't want to name names, but all the, shall I say, I don't want to say enemies, but I say the people who are short-sighted, not standing with Egypt while they realize, or I don't know if they realize, that if Egypt falls, they're all down. We're in the same boat. And if you hold under your seat, the whole boat will sink. And they are still creating problems to Egypt, which is for themselves. They are the next victim.
Sir, we have now Europe clearly saying that they will not receive any migrants anymore, or Europe is saying that, and they are clear in saying that they are not able to receive illegal migration and refugees more on their soil. So what will be the situation of the refugees now?
They are dying. They are trying, and they are dying on the attempt. Mm-hmm. And try to throw the problem to Egypt and the North African countries will not work, because there is no place for this. Mm-hmm. If you go to Libya to create camps on it, how can you do it when there is terrorist battle there in the oil terminal? How can you do it? Mm-hmm. Europe has committed the crime and wants to throw the result on others. But the crime is European colonial powers. And let's not fool ourselves. They are colonial powers, and anything that advances us is bad to them. And they want us to just be where they want us to be.
Well, Mr. Ahmad Ezz Al-Arab, former chairman of the Wafd Party, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome once again to Africa Today.
Thank you very much for asking me, and it's a pleasure also. Thank you.
Sir. And by this, we come to the end of our episode. I'm Dina Mandouh. Thank you for watching.